Hello and welcome to how I play my level 75 magician. And we're gonna get into this. So this carries on past my, or from my level 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. Like this is a progression of videos and showing how like I will eventually have a 125 or 130 magician, and how I play them and how I set them up. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, there will be things mentioned in those videos that will be expected to have known by now. But for the most part, not much has changed from the level 70 video. So just kind of a disclaimer there at the beginning, just in case something doesn't make sense. So we're going to go over spells, we're going to go over hotbars, we'll talk about gear, and we'll talk about that stuff as we go. So first spell I got is Bolt of Molten Slag. Now this is a really high damage spell with a moderate cast time and a high spell. Like I felt like this was the best choice. The other choices are there's this magic one, Shock of Silvered Steel. It's 72. It does less damage, less mana, and it casts slightly faster. But I don't know. I like the big damage, right? And being at a longer spell cast, that means that I'm not, casting repetitively, right? Like I'm not boom, 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 boom. It's more of a boom, boom, boom. So like the aggro is more controllable in that sense too. At least that's what it feels like. Now there's a Scalding Scalding Sands is another, quick low mana spell. Only does 1600. Now that might be useful in some situations. If I wanted to do the boom 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 kind of style, but I'm more of in the others thing. And then we have Fickle Inferno, which would be a fantastic spell for this, but the problem I have with it is that it is a instant recast, so I would just literally be spamming that spell. It is a 3-second cast time. It does what? Oh, less than this one, but it is what it is. I feel that just doing Molten Bolt, Bolt of Molten Slag right now is probably the best option. So that's there. I do have Fickle Inferno memmed because I thought when I first did it, I thought it had a longer recast time, but it doesn't. And then I have Rampaging Servant, which is our swarm pet. Now, I cast this on cooldown now, mostly to become familiar with doing it later on, because our Conjurer's Synergy spell at 105 will be the Servant. So you want to have Servant out at all times. If it's on cooldown, that's the first spell you want on the mob, and all it does is summon like a gargoyle here to attack. It's a pet. It's just like a 30-second duration. It hits pretty hard, like 700s, 800. It's a nice spell. It is probably the higher part of our damage right now, so it's a great spell. Then I have Rain here. Now, I don't really use the Rains as much. I didn't know what else to put in this slot at the moment, but I want to try and use these Rains again. We early on in the series, we were using the rain spells to kind of AoE our way through things. I don't plan on doing mezzing with my group in the Hobbs and Friends series, so being able to hit things AoE style, now that the Shadow Knight has some AoE taunts and stuff like that, we can theoretically do this without pulling aggro. It's got a pretty large range. Like see here. It hit all 4 of those guys. It didn't hit that guy in the back though. So it only hits 4 targets. So it's a pretty good size. Like it hit all the way over there. So it is what it is. Look at it. It only hit once. Is it only one wave? Okay, so this for some reason this wave doesn't okay, that's weird. It doesn't do the like maybe it's just the graphic. So there's one every 3 seconds in the area. All right, so it just does one. It hits everybody in that little area. So it might be beneficial to cast if I can position better, right? That was the big problem we had, is that the way I pull is like everybody's on auto follow, so then I'm like right here next to the guy, and I'm gonna take that damage, right? It didn't hit me that time, but sometimes I'm gonna take that damage. Now, if we can avoid taking the damage, then it's a great spell. If we take the damage, it's not, because then I have to worry about healing them and all that stuff. The next up, I have Burning Aura. So this is from level 68. There's no upgrade to it yet, but what it does is it allows, it gives almost like a reverse damage shield to the target, right? So every time the target gets hit, I put this on the tank. Does a little bit of fire damage. I don't know how much, but it's not too bad. Then I have Scorching Skin. Now, I don't really cast this as much as I should, but what it is it's a 4-charge damage shield. Where's my Shadow Knight? Right here, Scorching Skin. So you can see here, if I get hit 14 times, or 4 times, it'll do, I think it's like 600 damage, 800 damage, something like that. It's pretty nice. It only lasts 20 seconds though, so it has a very limited use case, in the sense that like I have to target, right? So if it was like target of target kind of spell, then I would put it in my multi-bind and cast it on cooldown, because it would provide a lot of damage. But having to switch targets is difficult for in a multi-boxing situation that I'm doing. But it does, nice damage there. Then I have the water pet. I always have a pet memmed for the mages because their pets die. I want to get another pet out as soon as possible, and I can just tab over to them and click it and kind of have that out there and going. I'm currently using the water pets. They do more damage, and they backstab and stuff like that. So like if we send the pet here, let's let him thwack on that guy. If we go here to this, you can kind of see his damage. He's hitting for 72, 146, 111, 146. 146 seems to be like his good one. Crit for 171. So that he's doing, decent damage here. He should backstab here at some point. There we go. 461 backstab. So as long as he can get to the back of the mob, he will backstab. Now, the way I play is like I'm most of the time they're on my characters are on auto follow, so backstab's not really a thing most of the time, because just it's when they get sent on, they get sent on. I'm not gonna resummon. I'm not gonna companion summon him to reposition him. It's just not worth my effort on these less than 30-second mobs that typically I'm fighting, right? 30 to 40 seconds. Just not worth it. Now on a mob that's like, say, a long duration raid mob, like say when we fought the Avatar of War and stuff like that in the level 70 video, that is definitely worth the getting it in the correct position and all that stuff, because it's a longer fight. But most of these fights do not last that long. Next up, I have Call a Hero, which literally just teleports my characters to me. If you watch in the Hobbs and Friends series, I do teleport these characters all around. If you watch in the Holdridge's Crusade videos, I'm using group Call a Hero constantly. That is like my #1 way of moving my characters, because auto follow sucks. And being able to like run the mage, like say, I'm on the other side of the zone, right? I can Call a Hero everybody over here, boom, right? Using the bard, I can double invis him. Using all the stuff, I can get double invis, so he can run through anything in most zones, get to where I need, Call a Hero everybody there, boom, done. It's fantastic. Now I run 2 mages, so I can do some interesting things with a campfire and Call a Heroing people around and stuff like that. So it's a very practical way of moving people around. It costs pearls, but pearls are cheap, so it's worth it. And it just saves so much time positioning people in the right position. So I'll always have a Call a Hero memmed at level 100 when I get Call a Hero group version. That'll go there, and then I'll still have the single target AA version right here to kind of use that. So And then at 91, it stops taking a pearl, so that's fantastic. And then I have the current level mod rod, so this is a level 75 mod rod. This is, it's a moderate, just, summon it out, get in mod rod. I have it in my assist macro, Wand of Elemental Transvergence. It's right here. So you summon it, and I auto inventory with everybody pushing the 1 button, and it just it's extra mana, saves time. Now I do run 2 mages, so they have the exact same. Like if I click between this one and this one, they're the exact same layout. I copy the layout from like this character to that character at the end of the thing. They have everything the exact same. So every 5 levels, I'm copying her layout, just so that I make sure all the hotkeys and stuff are synchronized, because I do change some of those up. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And then we have at the end here, Elemental Symbiosis, which is our pet sacrifice mana regen spell. It does not have a long duration. It is a 10-minute duration, so it's kind of a short duration buff. I think anything in under 10 minutes is a short duration. So we kind of keep that in my short duration buff here button. So I just hit numpad 7, and he'll do Burning Aura. He'll do what's the next one? I think Scorching Skin. Yeah, and then he'll do what is it? Symbiosis or there we go, Symbiosis, and then he'll do a mod rod, just so that everybody has a mod rod up at all times. Now it's just simple macro here, it's just pauses and cast, right? It's very simple. X target 20 is always my tank, so pretty simple there. And that's all the normal everyday spells I cast. And then over here I have my aura. So I use Wrath's Strength. I believe that's the current one. Now there might have been a new one at 70 and I didn't update it. Yeah, Wrath's Strength is the current one. So I keep the aura up at all times. Now, I don't know if the description here, yeah, here we go. It tells you what it does. So it gives the pet an extra 10% melee damage. And it also augments all nearby pets. So as I said, I'm running 2 mages, so both mages have this. So any pets within the range of them get extra 10% damage. So my Beast Lord, my Shaman, my Shadow Knight pets all get 10% extra damage coming out of just from this aura. 100% worth casting on whenever it's down. Then I have Damage Shield, so the current level Damage Shield is Magma Skin. The circle magma skin is what I use there. Then there is a pet buff called Ice Flame. It's the spell line. I believe it's this one. No. Maybe it's not on here. Oh, okay, good. So we can actually do it. So Ice Flame Body is the current level version of this. This gives the pet some extra benefit in the sense that it gets a damage shield, and it gives it some absorption ability there. So I try to keep that up as much as I can, since it is a damage shield for the pet. Now, I'm not running Pet Taunt on my pets at the moment because they're water elementals, but when I run earth pets for that taunt in harder content, it is very beneficial there because they're taking that damage. And then the next one here is Burnout. What is that? 6. So that's the current level Burnout. It's a pet haste, pet buff, right? I think it starts to do 10% extra damage again, and all kinds of other stuff. So having Burnout on the pet at all times is something you need to make sure you're always doing. All right. So those are like the 4 extra spells that I cast outside of that. Now at 75, we got our first Unity spell. So that kind of does some of our self buffs for us. You can kind of see here it does the Warden and the Prime Shielding. So we just cast that and it will automatically do those. We don't have to switch spells out and do that anymore for those. But since I run a Shaman, I don't ever really get the self buff that casters get because I get Focus. But we do get the Warden spell here, which increases our hit point regeneration, our mana regeneration, and our armor class. which was just another spell. I don't know if we got it before this, and I just didn't. I overlooked it in the previous videos, but now it's there. So we're getting extra mana regen from that, putting us at 422 mana regen at the moment. We have elemental form on. I don't know if that's the current version. Yeah, I just click that off and do it again. Yeah, so I guess 12 is the current version of that. So, that puts us at that. Elemental form does give us different illusions. Plus, I believe there is another benefit we get out of that, but we might not have that yet. But that's an AA buff we do. All right. Hotbars. So the hotbar is the same as level 70. All I did was update the assist button to use the new mod rod versus the old mod rod. And the burn buttons, we're not talking about those yet, but eventually we will. And there are going to be these abilities up here when we get to that. We just don't have them all yet, so it's no point in even doing that. I talked about my short duration buff here, so it's just cast Burning Aura, Scorching Skin, Elemental Symbiosis, and Mod Rod, just short duration buffs that I need at all times, right? They're not always up, so I try to keep them up as much as I can. I have 2 mages, so I try to do that as best of my ability, but it never works out as well as you'd think. The next bar is just teleport items, nothing on that one. So the multi-bind is pretty much the same as it's been since we got like level 56, pretty much. It's Host of Elements, which is a Swarm Pet AA, so we get that out there. We throw that. It's a 15-minute reuse. Just throw it out whenever. I don't really care about the duration. Then I do Rampaging Servant, and then I nuke. So if I hit 4 here, kind of see my pet attacks. Let's go to spell damage here. Rampaging Servant, Servant of Row. I got some of these other AAs that'll pop in here in a second. Servant of Row is a just a large fire elemental that pops out. I don't think it actually. There it is. There he is. Maybe that's necessity or something like that instead. Then I have Companion's Aegis, which just gives our pet some shielding, and then Companion Necessity, which summons a level 81 elemental to distract, so it does like an AoE taunt, just taking the pressure off my tank, right? You can see here we're hitting 15,000 crits with this spell. I think it's worth it personally, just because it makes things die faster, in the sense that I'm 2 big nukes at the same time from 2 mages. That could be 30,000 damage, right? I don't know how many points the mobs I'm fighting have, but considering the amount of crits we're getting right now, it's substantial. Plus the pets in this situation too. So very good, very useful there. So let's get that. And that's pretty much it on the multi-bind. Now, if I haven't explained it well enough before, multi-bind is where you take your buttons and you put them all as the same button. All my hotbars are bound to 5 and 4. 5 and 4 is just the way I do it for certain classes. Watch the Shaman videos if you want to know why I don't have everybody bound to 5 and 4, and that'll kind of explain it. But for the most part, I hit 4 on one character, and all my characters key repeat to do the same thing, and all the buttons are bound, so I don't have to even think about doing anything. I just have them ordered in a special time order so that they will work in a certain way. But at level 75, the mage does just not have enough abilities to fill up the bar yet. Eventually, we will fill up like all of this if you watch the 125 video. Over here, we have some more abilities, but we're not really fully there yet for a burn. I keep all my burn abilities on this top row. So first up is Silent Casting, just lowers our aggro. Heart of Skyfire, which increases our spell damage. And we don't have any of the other ones yet. We will soon enough. And then Arcane Whisper here just lowers our hatred. And then my Earring for shrinking my pet. And that's about it. Unity and everything else is just pet related. Fury things, right? Like Suspend Pet, Frenzied Companion, Fortified Companion, stuff like that. And then my Familiar. Let's talk about gear. Now, at this current level, I am using TBM, the Broken Mirror. Pretty much container gear, I guess, is what it's called. This is the first level of it. We have not done the first mission, so we cannot buy the AUGs yet. But once we can do that, we'll buy Type 9 and Type 5 AUGs, and it'll bring this up to another 500 hit points, I believe. And it'll actually be decent gear, and we'll get start really flowing when it comes to that. This gear is bought with Remnants of Tranquility. You can buy it at level 75. And then you can do the first mission at 75 also. Every single slot is that item, that gear you can buy. You can buy everything. Except the earring. The earring is the most important part of a mage, starting pretty early. I think at 55 you can get your first one using tower gear. But this is a very important thing. And why is the earring important? Specifically for these three classes, the Mage, the Necro, and the Beast Lord. Enhanced Minion. This is Enhanced Minion 1, so this is the first Enhanced Minion, and from this point on, it's all called Enhanced Minion. Before, it was like Servant of Chaos, Minion of Darkness, all kinds of flair names, and then I guess they just decided not to have any flair to it and just started calling it Enhanced Minion. And so Enhanced Minion 1 is 55 is the value that it adds to the pet. So it's 55 pet power. I don't know what that actually means. It scales up. So if we look at this character's personaed to a necromancer. If we look at this one, this is the Night of Shadows raid version. It's Enhanced Minion 30. So from 75 to 120, it goes up 30 levels in power, and you can see how strong this one is in the sense that it just increases the pet there. And this character will be able to use this earring when he gets to that level, but definitely worth having there. And this is the most important item for the mages and beast lords and necros because it makes the pet stronger. Sometimes it adds a whole level or two to the pet. You can see this pet is level 70 at the moment, whereas like say let's go shaman here. Shaman pet is 68 at 75. So that extra power gets added to the pets, and they do more damage. They have more hit points. They're just all around stronger. So having the best enhanced minion item, pet power, if you will, is I believe what the raidloot.com filter searches for. It is one of the most important things. I just cannot stress that enough. Now, another important thing for the mage is, I believe, the arms. Yeah, so it is the arms at this point. The arms do give a fire-based damage increase of 52 to 73% on spells, or whatever. So this starts on all the class gear for these classes. So it's good there. I believe the helmet is magic. Yeah, so the helmet is magic. So if you're not running Molten Slag, you're running the Silvered Bolt or whatever it is, the magic one, you're going to want the helmet. It's very important to the class to have those focus items to do that extra damage. So it's something to keep in mind there. So like arms, helmet, and earring are like some of the most important pieces of gear for the mage. Now, another thing that I find is really important, I think it's the shoulders here. Yeah, so the shoulders has the mana cost reduction. You'll see when I open up these spells, right? So its mana is 764 by default, but due to like this, it drops it down. Plus there's an AA that, what is it called? Spellcasting Mastery. Yeah, so 15% gets taken off by the AA. If I take the shoulders off here, right? I take the shoulders off and then I reopen the tab. You can see now that it's only reducing the mana by that hard 15%. right? But with the shoulders on, it drops it down just a little bit more to 416. If well, there's a range to it. I don't know why there's a range to it. It says up to 17%, so I guess there's like a random roll in some of these things, maybe. I haven't really looked at it too much, but you can see there it's like really important that you have those. Now there's another one for spell casting speed. I think it's on the finger. That one reduces mana too. That increases the range. So if we look at this, right, the range of the spell goes up 81 points from all the stuff we got going on here. So huge range on that spell. Which one is... That's healing. Duration. Alright, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't need to go into it, but one of these things will lower the cast time on other stuff too, plus the AAs that we get. So it's very important to really make sure your gear is close to maxed out for what your level is, right? I wouldn't focus 100% on maxing out gear. I would get the arms, the earring, the helmet, and some of the other stuff just to make sure that you're in the right direction. And then when you get to the whatever your max level is, then focus on maxing out your gear the best you can. You can almost level a mage pretty much naked for like the first 70 levels. After that, you start to need to get some of this gear, and getting that extra damage is great. It's fantastic. We'll see later on. We'll get some augs and stuff that'll help us out. Next year in the anniversary event, we'll be running these characters through there to pick up more augs that we need. And we just couldn't get because we didn't have these characters actually created at the time. So there. But that's pretty much everything for the mage, right? It's pretty much spam nuking and sending the pets. That's the gist of this class at the moment. Now, I will be doing some extra stuff later on to kind of improve some of the stuff we do. But for the most part, I'm going to be playing it like this for the next 10 to 20 levels. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you very much for watching, and please have a fantastic day.